there are, of course, many reasons why we would want to invest in training and why we would want our company to invest in training. Most people who are going to be on this call and looking for additional training are going to be looking for their company to pay for that. And when we approach our bosses or supervisors or the owners of our company and ask them to invest in continuing education, we want to bring up, of course, personal accountability. We want to be able to learn new things so that we can, of course, do what we do better. But you know how in our review, when it comes time for our reviews or when it comes time for our evaluations, we get feedback on what we're doing well and what we could improve on. And then when we have our next review, you know how they will ask us, so since our last review, what have you done to improve on the things that we discussed? And what action have you taken? And you know how being proactive is a big deal, and people talk about that a lot. And taking online training or going to live events or webinars, teleconferences is an excellent way to show. You know, remember during that last review that we had, we discussed how I maybe should work on my organizational skills. Well, since then, thanks to the company's investment in my personal and professional development, I have taken a course on organization, and here are the results that I've had that directly affect my job. So thank you for that, and here's how I've taken action to deal with those challenges. So it's a fantastic way to show that I'm taking personal accountability and taking the feedback that my company might be giving me, telling me what I need to improve on, and I can show I have taken steps to improve on what I was told I need to improve on. So for a very selfish reason, as an employee, because I've been an employee most of my life, I have always loved to take advantage of any type of training that's offered, not just for my own personal and professional development, but so that when I go to the next review, so that when I go to the next evaluation, I can say, well, thank you very much for the feedback that I got during the last one, and here's what I have done to address that feedback. Employers love that. HR loves that. It's a real win-win. And also, of course, I have that confidence that that is directly applied to my job when I know that I'm following the steps that I'm supposed to be following. So there are, of course, many reasons why we want to invest in our training, but those are some great personal reasons and selfish reasons why I always want to invest in training. And when we bring this to our managers or our supervisors and say, hey, here's why I believe that we should invest in either live training or online training, one of the reasons is because it helps me take the feedback that I'm getting from you and immediately take action. So when you are presenting this to your boss, the many different ways you can present it. One way is that when I'm getting feedback, when we all get feedback on how we can improve, this helps us take action based on the feedback that we're getting. Because many times, we get feedback from work where we are told what we can improve on, but most people stop right there and don't have the next steps. They really don't know what to do with that feedback or how to improve, so that during our next evaluation, we can say what we did and how that's helped. Of course, we want to reduce our liability as well and stay current with the constant stream of new state and federal laws, regulations, and updates. Of course, we all want to be on top of these changes. We all want to decrease our liability, and we want to know that we're up to date, not just for our company, but for our customers as well. And there are many different ways that the changing laws affect our business. Of course, if you're in the accounting field or the legal field, you know that the laws are constantly changing and they're constantly affecting your business. But even if you're not in, let's say, accounting, or you're not in the specific, if you don't work in a law firm, we might not be aware of how the changing laws directly affect us. For example, if you're a small business listening to this right now, I'm assuming that, like everyone else in the U.S., you're struggling dealing with the new healthcare laws. And when we have questions on how we're going to implement the new changes in law in our company, you can spend, as we all know, so much time and so much money investing in just figuring out how am I going to make sure that I'm covered under the new laws dealing with the new Health Care Act. And instead of investing hours and hours of your own time, and which translates into countless dollars, one simple online conference or teleconference can help us know exactly where we are, know exactly where we want to go, and stay on track. And even though we have to, of course, pay for the seminar, the money that we spend there is going to come back to us tenfold because we're not starting from scratch and trying to find all the information by ourselves if we're not an expert in that field. We go to the expert, get the information, quick, easy, breezy. Regardless of the size of our business or regardless of the nature of our business, we all need to know what the laws are and how they affect us for when we go to talk to our employees, let's say, if there is an issue about things that they're writing on social media that have to do with work. The July 30th, 2012 ruling directly impacts what we can and cannot say when we speak to our customer. Even if we're working in a dog grooming business, for example, and we notice that one of our dog groomers is online gossiping, let's say, about our business, current laws have actually affected each and every one of us and how we can address people's behavior online as it pertains to our business. So we want to keep up to date not just on little laws and, healthcare things, and if you're in the accounting business, new tax codes, that's all obvious. But when it comes to, for example, human resources and the law, those are things that are going to affect every one of us regardless of the size of our business. And if you are in a business, let's say that is a small to medium-sized business, and you don't have a training and development department, wouldn't it be great if all of a sudden you did? Even if you have a business that consists of, 3 people, if you don't have a training and development department, as all large businesses do, you're missing out on the benefit that all of those businesses have from having that training and development department. And, of course, we all know there's a reason why big companies have the training and development division, and that is because, in the end, that investment pays off. If we are not investing in the training and development, we're missing out on all of the benefits that come along with that, not just legal things, but keeping up to date, for example, on updates in technology. And that is something where, it used to be that when I started out in this business, the only option was live events. And so when you went to a conference, I don't know if you're listening to this, maybe you remember this. When I started attending conferences and then subsequently giving conferences, they were super expensive. I mean, thousands of dollars in today's dollars and in yesterday's dollars simply to attend a conference. But because of the law of supply and demand, the price of live training has decreased significantly. But now we have all these options that we didn't have before to do webinars, teleconferences, and virtual training that really the investment on it is so inconsequential because it might only cost us a couple $100 to invest in a training and development webinar that could then potentially save us thousands of dollars of fees that we otherwise would have paid had we made one mistake, checking the wrong box on our tax forms when it's dealing with health insurance. We checked the wrong box, we didn't do the right thing, and now we're paying thousands of dollars. Had we just attended that webinar and quickly been told, here's what you need to do, here's how to do it, here's your action plan, go for it. It saves us just so much time and headache and money in the end. Or even if it's something like, for example, updates in technology. My Aunt Jody just bought a new Cadillac, and it's one of those new Cadillacs where she actually has Swarovski crystals embedded in her hubcaps. And that car, when she bought it, they required her to take a 5-hour training course, that's correct, on how to use it, how to use the system, when you get in the car, for example, I've never been in her car. I'm not quite fancy enough for that. But evidently when you get into this new Cadillac, whatever the Grand Poobah of Cadillacs is, one of those touchscreen virtual systems comes up, and if you don't take their training course, what happens is people sit in that Cadillac, and every time it starts, so like, I just had this experience, by the way, because I just rented a new Ford Explorer, and for the life of me could not turn off the heated seats, and I melted for 3 days driving around. But if you get into that Cadillac, for example, and you don't know how to work it, because there's all these new fancy features, what happens is people sit in the car, and instead of going to where they want to go, they spend tons of time trying to figure out, how do I start it? I don't know how to start it because it doesn't use a key like a normal car. How do I adjust the seat? How do I turn on the radio? How do I connect my cell phone? And if you got into that Cadillac right now, if you've never been in that car, I know guaranteed I would sit in there and spend the majority of my time trying to figure out how to use it, just like I did with the Ford Explorer. I spent so much time trying to figure out how to get things to work. After the webinar, however, now my aunt gets in, or it was live training actually, but after she went to that training, she gets in her car and bing, bing, bing. She presses this button and it says, oh, it's me. So the seat adjusts itself and the car connects with her cell phone. The temperature automatically adjusts to where she wants it. Everything magically kind of comes together because she learned how to use it.